In management or when we teach at high level, we talk of something called the reader orientation. Who is your reader? Who are you writing for? So I always tell the students, you're not writing for the Governor Reserve Bank or to the chairman of the state bank. When you write in the exam, who is your reader? Keep that in mind. So the examiner. And therefore you have to be a very you have to have a very balanced approach.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to iExamP, and we have Dr. Sharma with us today again to share certain insights on various topics we have been doing since last few weeks. Welcome, sir.
Good morning and nice to be with you all again as usual.
Thank you, sir. So we have discussed in detail with a lot of topics, before getting into RBI and after working with RBI related to our profiles, perks and salaries, transfer-related aspects. What are the different kinds of qualities that are being looked at in an RBI Grade B officer? Today, we are going to focus a little more on the exam side. So we had certain queries related to exam and preparations also. So we thought today we will take from your domain, the one that you mentor for the most, which is the English paper.
Right, that would be good. Yes. I do think that, this is one area where the students really have to work a little, I would say harder than what most of them seem to be putting in the efforts. Because when I see in the class, despite the fact that we keep discussing, they tend to forget some very simple rules that are taught. So it's a good idea. It's a good idea that let's discuss that. So many of our friends, participants who are, they will benefit certainly.
Absolutely, sir. So let's get started with it. So before we start into the nitty-gritties of how to prepare for this, we see that a descriptive English paper is a part of the selection process for a lot of regulatory body exams, including RBI, of course. SEBI also does that. Even NABARD has it. NHB has it. So a lot of exams like these have a descriptive English paper where it's mentioned that they are testing the drafting skills of a student.
Perfect.
So, what exactly is being tested, and why do these regulatory bodies and all India financial institutions include it as a part of the selection process?
You see, when all said and done, we cannot really do away with English. So we have a lot of work that goes on in Hindi and in the vernacular at times, depending on the region you're in. However, the majority of the work that happens is in English. So obviously, anybody, be it RBI or any regulatory body, whenever they recruit somebody, it is imperative that those people who join them are at least having the basic knowledge of not only speaking. Speaking may still not be so essential, I would say, but at least the ability to draft and the ability to comprehend. Because these are the people, they are what we call as the pen pushers, the base level officers, right? So whenever a case has to move, it moves from their levels. And so the basic note, I mean, it's a luxury these days to have an assistant in every division. So it is quite likely that you may not even have an assistant or a grade A officer. And as a grade B officer, or even in other regulatory bodies, grade A, you are the one who would be pushing the note. Mm-hmm. Now, when you do that, you need, and most of the correspondence that happens is in English. Mm-hmm. So if we receive a letter from any customer or from any bank or from the government, either they are bilingual or they are, from the government they could be bilingual, yes, but from customers and otherwise in the bank, it's generally in English. So when I get a letter, I must understand what the letter is talking about. What is the thrust? What is the core purpose of writing the letter? Exactly what we do when we do, for example, Precis writing. We say that when you write your Precis, make it short, precise, succinct, and remove the grain from the chaff. So let's not, people have a tendency to talk, they want to say something in a one para, they will take 2 pages to say it. So obviously, the seniors don't have the time to go through all the correspondence. So when you put up the note, you should be able to comprehend the purpose of the letter and what is the resolution they are seeking. So then you do the drafting. That's where drafting skills come into the picture. At least in RBI, they give a lot of importance to drafting. And I know that how many times we return the basic draft because the letter is not coming out the way it should. And coming from regulatory bodies, it has to have the clarity about it. So I remember in our good old days when we were there, the clerks who had been in the bank for 30 odd years, their drafting skills were much better than the officers like us who joined because we were not used to drafting at that point. So they would put up a very nice draft. You learn a lot from them. And so as we are today, we tend to write comprehensive drafts, and therefore I think descriptive English is essential. And that is what they're testing.
That's what
They're testing. Yeah, whether you are able to basically write your thoughts. When you write an essay, it's essentially you're writing your thoughts on a particular subject in a structured manner. So you should be giving, and is a logical flow in what you are saying? Are you giving reasons for what you are saying, or you're just making simple factual like statements?
Right. So let's get into a little more detail. So in these papers, as you rightly said, so they're looking for a little comprehension, the ability to put down your thoughts in a concise manner. So I guess that's why we usually see these three type of questions come in. One is your essay that comes in. The other is a Precis, and third is reading comprehension. Usually, some of them may also have a letter writing. Typically, between these 3 to 4 types of areas is where they are testing your writing skills. So if we discuss a little more in detail, say, for example, if you're talking about the essay, so what according to you would be the key points a person should keep in mind while writing an essay?
So when you write an essay, essentially you should brainstorm. That's important. There is a tendency on the part of students to read the topic and start writing whatever comes to their mind at that point of time, because they are kind of running against time. They may have allotted, say, 20 minutes to write the essay. My point is, if you have allotted 20 minutes, then keep five minutes for brainstorming, gathering your thoughts and structuring them, and 5 minutes for revision. So that the 10 minutes you have, you would be able to write the same thing that you would have written haphazardly in 20 minutes, right? So I would suggest that, the first thing is think of the topic and, brainstorm in the sense, keep writing down points that come to your mind. The good, the bad, the ugly, whatever on that particular topic, whatever you can think of, put them down. Now, once you put them down and then you review them and see what are the most relevant points and what are the less relevant points. And what are the points which you don't require, just segregate them. And then you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you can have your points in order. And you can club these points together into different aspects. You could, for example, take all the points related to social aspect and put them together. And all the points related to the political aspect, you put them together. And so on and so forth. So that you finish one set of category, say social, then come to political, then you can talk about the economics of the situation, and then any other angle. So in this way, there would be a proper flow. That's the way they should prepare.
Yes, very important points. And actually, structure is very, very important, because haphazard thoughts, as you said, the person, while we are writing, may not realize it, but when you give it a read, the revision part.
Yes.
If we think from an audience point of view, the person who's going to actually read that, if he is not able to understand, if you're jumping from one thought to the other, you've not been able to communicate the entire thought that was there. So yes. I think that's why it's very, very important to have a proper structure and flow to whatever you write.
And you used a very good point, a word. You said audience, keeping in mind the audience. So that's very, very critical part of your writing. I always, in management or when we teach at high level, we talk of something called the reader orientation. Who is your reader? Who are you writing for? So I always tell the students, you're not writing for the Governor Reserve Bank or to the chairman of the state bank. When you write in the exam, who is your reader? Keep that in mind. So the examiner. And therefore you have to be a very, you have to have a very balanced approach. I may believe in a certain political philosophy. I cannot just write my essay from that point of view because the other person may be, just not agreeable to that kind of political thinking. So keep the reader in mind. He could be anyone. And when you write, give a balanced view of pros, cons, so that it looks rounded approach that you've taken.
Very, very important point. So if I move to the other part, say the pressing, like you said, it's very important because you may be in as an actual officer or in a particular job, you will be getting a lot of reports you have to study, you're reading, and then you have to summarize it for higher report people that you are reporting to. So I think that's where the Prezi comes into. That's what's being tested. So any key points that a person should keep in mind for Prezi writing from the exams point of view?
See, Precis, somehow I find the most common mistake that our candidates tend to make is that they cannot distinguish between a summary and a press. Okay. So to know the difference, they should come to my class and then they come to know what the difference is. But jokes apart, uh, uh, tense is very important in present writing. Invariably, they will write in the present tense. So what they must do is they must think they are reporters. They are reporting something which they have read. Now, one major problem that students face is how do we convert present tense into past tense, right? Which is a question. I think I cannot answer that question because if you know your grammar, you could do that. So that's why we have part one. When we teach, in IXMB, you teaching part one where you're teaching them grammar. So invariably, and you must sustain the tense. And students forget that. Word limit. They invariably either exceed or are short of that. They forget to give titles. So these are very important. They're hard constraints, so you lose marks there. So if you're able to comprehend what the writer has said and remove all the peripheral ideas around it, you just get, it's like churning your milk and you're getting the butter. Yes. That's what Precis is all about.
True. And very nice. I think I'll also attend one or few classes to know the exact difference between Prezi and summary. Sometimes I also use this interchangeably, not correctly so. That's right. And just for the information of some of the viewers who may not know, Dr. Sharma takes descriptive English classes at IXMB, so you will not have to go too far to be able to attend his classes. And it's amazing that he finds time for this because he's a very busy person. He takes a lot of classes in top management institutes around the country. He's taken classes in IIMA, Ahmedabad, Lucknow, and currently taking classes at ISB for communications and particularly. So I'm putting this in between just because I'm a little more curious. How important is communications? Because you're teaching at top-notch management institutes as a separate subject, communication. So I'm sure it's very, very important. So according to you, why should one be learning about communications?
I think communication is basic to any work. When you're working in an organization, you have to communicate. So here, more than verbal communication, now what I teach at B schools is the written communication. And once I remember in one of the B schools, I had checked with, they had just introduced the course on the written and analytical writing. And I was wondering, I asked, why are you introducing it now? So his answer was that, we get a feedback that the students cannot write very well. So we felt the need that they should be taught written communication also. Therefore, so whether you are in a B school because you are in a corporate sector or you are in a banking sector, everything moves through written communication. it is very essential then that our ability to write well, and that is where the descriptive English comes into play.
Exactly. It's also part of the
We don't
overall
expect our
communication.
candidate, yes, we don't expect our candidates to be, say, Shashi Tharoors there. But we want them to write short, simple, crisp sentences, not bombastic, not flowery. Business communication. We are not writing literary work of literature, but we are writing business. It's business communication. It's business letters, and the note that we put up also are suitably to be structured. That will bring out the basic essence of the subject matter. So in B schools, I remember they have business communication classes also, and we teach them basic tenets of, uh, the 9 C's of communication, 7 C's of communication, which I think is what I share with my students here also, so that there is clarity in their thought, in their expression, in this conciseness. Their answers are concrete and not in the air. They are creative, etc. So, yes, that is important.
So, should students be scared of descriptive English? Because, when we say about it's a part of the communication and it's something people should be learning and should get good at. Sometimes, students, and we've seen this with our students also, they get a little scared. And I've seen two extremes actually. Some get really scared. How do we prepare for this paper? How do we really make it in time or not? And second extreme I have seen is they just don't care. They don't take this paper seriously at all, or leave it to the last minute. कि ये तो कर ही लेंगे. Should there be a balanced approach, or is it okay? Depends.
There is no need to be scared in the first place. When we are scared not only of descriptive English, I would say, I would be scared of financial management if I have not prepared well.
Right.
I would be scared of quants if my reasoning power is weak. So I'm scared of English descriptive because I know essentially that I'm not very good in expressing myself. Prachi, the problem comes largely in our country from we think in one language and write in the other, in English. So the problem is with those who think in the vernacular and then translate that into English. That is where the structure changes sometimes. The subject matter, doesn't, the verb and subject, they may not agree, or the way the sentence is constructed is the way you would write perhaps in your regional language. So that is where the handicap is. I do accept and agree that there is a handicap here. But I also have found that people from the vernacular medium are very good in writing. They may not be able to speak so fluently, but the grammar is better. But if your grammar is weak and you may be whether from the vernacular medium or from English medium, if your grammar is weak, speaking is something most of our students who come from English medium backgrounds, they feel, oh, we can speak, so we can write. No, you can speak, but you cannot write still. What you speak is a very informal language. What we write is formal language. So that distinction has to be made. So from this angle, it may appear a little tough for people, and therefore they would feel apprehensive about it. I would say scared, but yes, they may feel apprehensive because most of the time people tell me we are unable to jumpstart a topic. When I give you an essay, how do we begin? And I have my thoughts with me, but I'm not able to put them down. Or I have them all jumbled up. So when I reread my own essay, it's very scattered thoughts, here and there. It has scattered thoughts. So all it requires is good preparation. Prepare from the beginning. Do not wait for part 1 to be over and then you will do part 2. No. That is where you get less time. Right?
Right. So consistency a little is required, especially. And I think
Yes.
the one very important point that I'm taking here is whenever a person starts to prepare or not whether to prepare, what's the right time. It's very important to first understand there's a difference between spoken English and written English. uh, so there's a difference in how you will write and how you will speak, the choice of words, the number of words that will be used, the grammar. Because while speaking, we may not pay so much attention to grammar, but while writing, it is very, very important. So, yeah, that practice and that understanding that even if I'm very good at speaking English or understanding English while listening, I may still need practice writing and structuring my thoughts while writing. So that's very, very important points I will take. And I'm sure
Also, revision. Add to this is your
revision.
revision.
Very, very important. I think revision, we underestimate the importance of
Yes.
revision a lot. So in the, uh, we're running after new knowledge all the time, and now it's so easily available that we forget to revise. So and
Even simple things like a WhatsApp message, you see, if you notice, many times you find WhatsApp messages coming with spelling mistakes because the person has not revised it. Therefore, WhatsApp has now given the edit mode. You can always edit your message. What does that mean? They know they want you to reread your message because you have sent it making mistakes, so you can edit that.
that's a nice way to look at it, the edit function. But I love that edit function definitely. And now
Yes,
you
same
realize
here.
how many mistakes you make, because otherwise पहले बहुत बार I have just sent the message and later realized there's an error and I like okay सामने वाला समझ जाएगा ये तो acceptable है. But now
Yeah,
because that edit is available to me, I'll make sure I do edit, because I would also not
absolutely.
want the other person to just accept that mistake, which initially I was maybe subconsciously letting it go. So I think it's an amazing feature and a very nice thoughts, sir, to bring it, how important editing and revising is. Uh, so great point. So although you've slightly touched on this point, let me ask upfront. Uh, English क्योंकि and I'm asking this is in Hindi only क्योंकि English descriptive का पेपर है आपका, basic writing skills of English are being tested. तो जिसने हिंदी मीडियम से या फिर किसी और वर्नाक्यूलर लैंग्वेज से पढ़ाई करी है, आर दे एट एनी डिसएडवांटेज या उनके लिए प्रॉब्लम होने वाली है ये पेपर को क्लियर करने में?
नहीं, मेरे हिसाब से प्रॉब्लम तो नहीं होगी। हाँ, उनको थोड़ा सा जो जो फीडबैक मुझे मिलती है क्लास में, कुछ बच्चे ऐसे होते हैं जो कहते हैं कि आप हिंदी में पढ़ाइए, पर सारी क्लास में अगर 50 बच्चे बैठे हैं, साउथ से भी बच्चे होते हैं, उन लोग को हिंदी समझ नहीं आती है, तो हम उनको कई इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स को हिंदी में दोहरा देते हैं। अब उन बच्चों को यही प्रॉब्लम होता है कि हम एक्सप्रेस नहीं कर पा रहे हैं अपने आप। क्यों नहीं कर पा रहे हैं? क्योंकि आपने प्रैक्टिस ही नहीं करी है। अगर आप प्रैक्टिस करेंगे, आप रोज का एक ऐसे लिख लो, या रोज नहीं लिख सकते तो एक दिन छोड़ के लिख लो, लेकिन आपको आरसी भी करनी है, तो आपको प्रेसी भी करनी है, तो 3 चीजें करनी है। एक दिन में एक चीज कर लो ये प्रैक्टिस करते समय, तो उनको दिक्कत नहीं होगी। लेकिन सब लोग ये क्लास में बैठते हैं, हम लोग के 3 तरीके होते हैं पढ़ने के। एक हमारी सेल्फ स्टडी होती है, एक हम क्लास में आते हैं और जो भी टीचर पढ़ाते हैं, फैकल्टी पढ़ाते हैं, उससे सीखते हैं। और तीसरा होता है पीयर लर्निंग, बैठ के पढ़ना। सो मेरी क्लास में मैं अक्सर यही करता हूँ कि हमारी क्लासेस में बच्चों को ब्रेकआउट रूम में रख दिया जाता है, बैठ के वो लोग अपना डिस्कस भी करते हैं, एक दूसरे को पॉइंट्स लेते हैं। मेरे पास 2 पॉइंट्स है, आपके पास 1 पॉइंट है, मिला के हमने एक उत्तर दे दिया।
राइट।
तो ये प्रैक्टिस जो है आप घर में, तो उनको यही कहा जाता है कि यहाँ जो करा है इसको अब आप घर जाके खुद प्रैक्टिस करिए। तो ये नहीं होना चाहिए कि क्लास में चले गए, आज सर की क्लास कर ली, चलो एक टिक मार्क लगा दिया, इंग्लिश डिस्क्रिप्टिव की प्रेपरेशन होगी। नहीं, प्रेपरेशन अभी क्लास से शुरू हुई है और आपको उसको घर में लेके जाना है। तो जितने भी वर्नाक्युलर मीडियम के बच्चे हैं ऐसे करेंगे तो उनको कोई दिक्कत नहीं होगी। पर उनकी ग्रामर सही होनी चाहिए, जिसपे उनको ध्यान देना चाहिए। सिंपल सेंटेंस लिखेंगे, सब्जेक्ट एंड ग्रामर में भी 4 चीजें होती हैं जो आपको, कैपिटल लेटर्स होते हैं, आपका सब्जेक्ट वर्ब सबसे ज्यादा जरूरी यही होता है। और स्पेलिंग मिस्टेक्स करते हैं जो बच्चे, तो अभी भी उसके लिए दिक्कत नहीं है, क्योंकि आपके कंप्यूटर में डालेंगे और दिखा देगा आपने गलती करी है। तो सही
एग्जाम में नहीं मिलेगा ना, तो
एग्जाम में नहीं, अभी
प्रैक्टिस
जब प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं तो आपको अपने स्पेलिंग ठीक रखिए, अपना पंक्चुएशन ठीक रखिए, अपना ग्रामर ठीक रखिए और छोटे से सेंटेंस बनाइए, अब प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। असल में एक प्रॉब्लम ये होता है कि बच्चे पढ़ते हैं बड़े बड़े न्यूज़पेपर्स, हिंदू हिंदू पढ़ लेते हैं, तो वहां की जो अंग्रेजी होती है वो थोड़ी सी उनको
डरा
तो
देती
मैं
है।
तो कहता हूँ
सही।
कि जरूरी नहीं कि आपको हिंदू ही पढ़ना है। आपको
बिल्कुल
जो
बिल्कुल,
पेपर में, हाँ, आपको जो पेपर में सुविधा है, आपको लगता है कि इंडियन एक्सप्रेस सिंपल, आपको समझ में आ रहा है वो क्या लिखा जा रहा है, या आपको टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया पढ़ना है, या आपको फाइनेंशियल डेली को इकोनॉमिक टाइम्स का एडिटोरियल पढ़ना है, आप उसको
लाइव मिंट काफी सिंपल इंग्लिश लिखता है, इंडियन
लाइव
एक्सप्रेस
मिंट तो
मतलब।
मैं तो बहुत
हाँ,
एग्जैक्टली है, मैं तो क्लास में अक्सर कहता हूँ कि मिंट लीजिए आप, अगर आपको
मिंट लीजिए।
दिक्कत हो रही है, डोंट
ये
रन
बहुत
आफ्टर द हिंदू।
ये बहुत सही पॉइंट सर ने बोला, मैं थोड़ा दोहरा भी रही हूँ यहाँ पर, कि अगर आप वर्नाक्युलर या फिर हिंदी मीडियम से किसी से पढ़ा है, तो देखिए इम्पॉसिबल नहीं है, आपको थोड़ी सी मेहनत करनी पड़ सकती है, लेकिन यस मेहनत तो करनी पड़ेगी, बट उसकी वजह से ऐसा कोई डिसएडवांटेज नहीं होगा। एंड बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट सर ने बोला कि प्रैक्टिस करते रहिए, एंड स्पेलिंग एरर्स तो पता ही चलते रहते हैं, तो वो धीरे धीरे प्रैक्टिस के साथ इम्प्रूव हो जाते हैं। एंड पढ़िए, थोड़ा सा पढ़िए, एंड उसके लिए फाइनेंशियल डेली लाइवमेंट काफी इंपॉर्टेंट है। हमारी हमारी टेंडेंसी यूजुअली हो जाती है कि हम सीधा हिंदू की तरफ भागते हैं, क्योंकि हमने ज्यादा सुना होता है पीयर्स में, इंटरनेट पे सब जगह दिखता है कि हिंदू पढ़ना चाहिए, वो बेस्ट पेपर है, लेकिन वो हाई लेवल इंग्लिश यूज करते हैं। तो अगर हम स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं, आपको इन्फॉर्मेशन सारी मिल जाएगी। लाइव मिंट, इंडियन एक्सप्रेस भी फाइनेंशियल डेलीज है जो रिलेटिवली सिंपल लैंग्वेज में लिखते हैं, तो वो आपको समझ भी आएगा और आपकी प्रैक्टिस भी होगी। तो काफी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स मैंने बताया, तो इसलिए मैंने दोबारा से रिपीट किया है।
अच्छा किया। और वैसे भी आप देखेंगे, जब आप आईएएस में देखेंगे लोगों को, कितने आपको अधिकारी मिलते हैं जो ठीक से अंग्रेजी नहीं बोल पाते हैं, लेकिन उन्होंने एग्जाम पास करा है ना, मतलब उन्होंने भी पेपर ऐसे कर दिया होगा। बैंक में भी, अपने रिजर्व बैंक में देखेंगे, people are there who may not be all, they may be coming from various backgrounds, yet they are there in the bank. What does that mean?
राइट।
मेहनत करके आए हैं वो लोग, उन्होंने
राइट।
वही एग्जाम अंग्रेजी का दिया है जो बाकी लोगों ने दिया है, और कई लोगों को पिछाड़ दिया है इन्होंने, आगे लोग निकल आए हैं बिकॉज दे हैव डन बेटर देन देम। सो मेहनत की बात है, यहाँ पे प्रैक्टिस की बात है।
ट्रू, वेरी राइट पॉइंट सर। सो ये काफी इम्पोर्टेंट डिस्कशन रहा सर आज का, and we touched and specially took this up because of this fact only, because students को थोड़ा सा, कुछ लोग घबराते हैं, कुछ लोग झिझकते हैं स्टार्ट करने के लिए, समझ नहीं पाते हैं कब स्टार्ट करें और कितनी इम्पोर्टेंस दें। तो आई एम श्योर कि ये सारे क्वेश्चंस जो स्टूडेंट्स हम लोग से पूछते रहते हैं, वी हैव बीन एबल टू आंसर दिस, एंड ग्रेट टू हियर इट फ्रॉम सर हिमसेल्फ, हु himself has been guiding for this paper at IXMB from past few years. And thank you so much, sir, for today's session.
My pleasure.
Taking out time again, and we'll meet again for one more
Anytime,
interesting
anytime.
session. Thank you.
So
Thank you,
long as we
viewers.
have questions coming from.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you,
Thank you,
everybody,
Prachi.
for
Thank you so much.
joining, and keep sending in your questions. We'll keep coming with sessions with more insights as always. Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Bye.
sir.
Thank you.